Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last hour of Oxford Farming Conference 2026. Nearly time to go home, I promise. Thank you very much to Tesco's for your lunchtime session. It looked like a good chat and the feedback coming out of the room was great, so thank you. We've still got a couple of amazing speakers to come, but first I'd like to introduce back on the stage Dominic Waters. Some of you will have heard Dominic speaking last year, and I think fair to say you left a bit of a mark on the conference, so welcome back.
Thank you.
Food security and accessibility to food is a theme that's run through our conference on resilience this year. You came here last year and shone a spotlight on food insecurity, and we're really interested to see how things have changed in the last year. So are you starting to feel that progress is being made on understanding the issues that you've raised?
Thank you so much. And I heard it's a bit unprecedented to be here a second time in a row. So yeah, super grateful. And thank you to everyone who's even sent me a message or anything it encourages me to continue. But has progress been made? I would say yes, but maybe very slow progress. And a lot's happened in the year, so I don't even know how I'll fit it all in. But from my research with the University of Southampton and the School of Geography there, and speaking at the House of Lords, and even guest lecturing on the master's course at Centre for Food Policy, I've tried to I've got to be positive, new year, new me and everything. So I've tried to positively disrupt the dominant ways of thinking around poverty and food insecurity, and try and show how any kind of transformation of the food system cannot be just without including certain unheard voices from previously. And yeah, I've been hanging out with some kind of influential people, even Stormzy and stuff, but that's not saying I like his music or dislike it, but yeah.
Collaboration in the future.
Who knows? But yeah, it's challenging that dominant thinking and language that's used. So I guess that's what I've tried to, that's been the mission.
Super. And you talked last year about the 4 pillars of food security, and the slides are going to show up, and I think what those are. What are they, and how do we start to address them?
Okay, so just to give a bit of context, so I was asked by the Food Foundation to create a photo story of my food environment. I chose, I'm sure everyone knows there's the UN 4 pillars of food security, and let's remember that. That is, academics are suggesting it should be 6 pillars, but what I did is, me being me, is I tried to kind of redefine that definition with a visual from my estate. So they kind of 4 photos, one that don't include food purposefully to kind of demonstrate the scarcity of fresh and nutritious food in my council estate. But also these are 4 photos that I'm at least trying to kind of take the focus off food security and the global and national goals that are trying to be achieved there, and speak to the more local inequalities that my communities and many like it go through. And believe it or not, with my speaking, I travelled to Middlesbrough, Luton, Barking, St Helens, Darlington, all places I didn't even know existed. There's a place called Washington in the UK. But I go to these places, and for whatever reason, I find myself in the council estates there. And I can see how, so when I say my neighbours, I don't just mean I do mean my neighbours, but also it's not exclusive just to my estate. It's something that's kind of all around the country. And so with the 4 pillars, so they don't include food, and massive shout to Daniel Zeichner, who was the head, he probably explained them better than me in the House of Commons after OFC last year. And it's where I kind of, I wanted it to redefine food insecurity, but to move from food security, as many people talk about, but to invert it to food insecurity, which is something I'm more an expert on than the vice versa, and because that's what we experience. But today I rethought it. I rethought on the way here, and I realized how there are 4 photos or 4 pillars that speak to food or food resilience. And that is what I think resonates with so many people around the country, especially in the poorer neighborhoods, because these are images that really connect with them. And to connect it all together, so with my research with the University of Southampton and the Try Some Chicken project, I'm taking these 4 photos and showing my neighbors and saying, what do these mean to you? Because these are like things they naturally recognize, they see every day. And so it's, how do you say it? I'm learning through academia, like how to kind of validate my voice. And so it's not just me saying it and me speaking for my neighbors, it's actually gone through that rigorous process of being able to have the impact that it needs. And so, yeah, I'm grateful to be doing that and to be, I guess, making people that have not been heard in a conversation that directly affects them, move from them being on the outside to them being key stakeholders in a discussion around achieving food security. Yeah,
and you've, in the last year, you've become a research fellow at Southampton, which I think you alluded to on stage last year, but it hadn't happened. How's that helped you amplify that message?
I think, what do they call it, where you speak something into existence? I think that's, maybe that's what I do too much.
Farmers in this room, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. How's it helped? It's helped as, it's been where I've kind of had to, okay, so I now occupy a kind of a dual positionality, or something that I really have to sit back and think about and consider. And yeah, I think Oxford helps. I won't get too deep into that, but so like where I'm both the researcher, so I'm speaking to my neighbors, but also I am my neighbor. I hope that's not too existential, whatever the word is, but I probably said it horribly wrong. But and then what I'm doing, and through the guidance of my supervisors on my PhD, is like see how I can write what's called ethnographic notes. So about how I'm received at different conferences, or even by my neighbors, or where, believe it or not, when I enter certain rooms, and I fully didn't realize this till a conference in Birmingham recently that I spoke at, that like people have preconceived ideas of like what I represent. And there can be little like microaggressions and stuff around that. But I'm arguably treading new ground in a space where I think, like, not to be too bold, but where voices like mine are needed.
Yeah, and you've obviously found, I think, in the last year, perhaps an unexpected ally in the farming community who are producing this food and wanting to get it onto plates. And you talked last year about this accessibility problem where you all want good food. It's not that you don't want it, it's just you physically can't get it. And do you think there's, we've heard from people like FareShare who are redistributing surplus food. Do you think that's all helping? How do we get better at that?
Yeah. Okay, so so when I walked here, okay, I'll tell a quick journey. So I left my council estate. They were taking down I don't know if people saw that video where I kind of asked you guys to invite me back politely.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, it's off the conversation, but the scaffolding in my estate, so there's 4 blocks, and as I was leaving to come here yesterday, they were taking down the scaffolding from the first block. So now after 20 years, we finally have windows that close and a front door to the block that doesn't let snow and rain in. So like the mat is, is about walkable. I'm just sharing this very quickly to show the resilience that poor communities have to go through. Then I went and met my daughter at St Pancras. I've got a kind of secret hangout place in St Pancras where they, for whatever reason, treat me very nicely. I won't share the name of it right now. Ask me after. But and my daughter's the first kid, or is the only kid from my estate blocks, the 4 blocks, that is going to is at university. So what does that say? I'll leave that as a question. Yeah. And then I found myself in Paddington in the M&S, and it said that it was advertised. It said, "This is not just food." And I thought either they heard me at last year's OFC, or they're kind of reading my mind. But I'd say then I walked up here and I saw the tractors yesterday, and I felt, because I've kind of got a very strong link now with the farming community, I felt joy and like happiness inside seeing them. Then when I'm in here and the MP's speaking, like I heard all the noise. And to me, that wasn't about inheritance tax, that wasn't about Emma Reynolds. To me, that was about people that haven't been heard and making noise so that that is known. And that, I think that's where my community and farmers deeply join.
I was going to ask you another question, but I'm going to leave it there, actually, because we're out of time, and I think that's a fair old message to end on. Dominic, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry it's a very short stint, but it's been great to have you back, and wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you. I didn't even get to drink my tea.